Hey guys, Eagle Master here. I'm coming at you with I'm coming at you with a deck profile of a very old archetype deck that now is, I think, still definitely good enough to play in the new meta with some new tech to help it out. So far, this is what I have. I like the way this works. It's a very interesting style. Ever since the release of the Dragon, this deck is Scraps. Scraps back in the day were really good, really OP, really powerful, and have really good OTK ability if you know how to play the deck. And the deck is a very confusing deck style on how to play. If you don't know how to read your cards properly, scraps are very difficult to play, as to where I was the kind of person that never understood how to play them. Same with like how I didn't really understand how to do the TG synchro loops, but with Maturia, TG synchros just became that much better. Um, Anyways, to get into the scrap builds, well, to get into the scrap build, okay. Now, I'm telling you right now, scraps is definitely not the best style of deck. Well, it's definitely not the best synchro deck, but it is definitely very powerful, has a lot of potential, but it has its limitations. So let's get into this, starting with the first card here, which is very important, able to loop around into the OTK, is Grand Soul, the Elemental Lord. Grand Soul can only be special summoned when you have 5 Earth monsters in your graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Um, when this card is summoned, target one monster in that player's graveyard and special summon it. The effect, well, the effect isn't mandatory. Uh, Grand Soul is a big level 8 and is a 2800 attack beater. Very powerful, very strong monster. Grand Soul is just powerful. He's ridiculous. And he can help you special summon back into he can help you special summon and just keep looping, which is what this deck likes to do for the OTK. Because this deck does have an OTK loop that you can do that I have figured out a hidden tech for that a lot of the big players didn't use. And I've seen a lot of scrap decks that don't use this tech, but I think it's pretty good and pretty cool to try out. So, uh, anyways, next card is Reacting Dragon Roller Pebbles. Discard it with an Earth monster. Special summon Redox from the deck. With Dragon Rulers, uh, with the new Dragon Roller decks, Redox and Reacting are like necessary in this deck because you're going to want to be able to make this deck as fast as possible, and this will help you do that. It does run some risk with the fact that you have to banish your monsters, so it kind of hurts your loop when you play this, but it's kind of necessary these days with the kind of decks we're playing against. You want speed and power and to be able to take control of your opponent's big monsters, which this deck can also do that with a big eye. So that's cool. Uh, Triple Redux kind of already explained this. Triple Redux does what it does. Scrap Beast. There's a combo that you can pull off with Scrap Beast, so it's really good. You'll wanna just basically like leave Scrap Beast sitting there as a floater. Only if you have your spell card Scrap Storm. Scrap Beast you kind of like leave as a floater. When it gets attacked, you chain Scrap Storm and destroy it. When with scrap monsters, whenever they're destroyed by a scrap monster's effect, uh, you basically you basically will you basically will be wanting to destroy a lot of your monsters with scrap effects. Scrap Beast, when it's destroyed by a scrap card and sent to the graveyard, you can select a scrap monster in the graveyard and add it to your hand. So there's a specific combo that I'm going to go into and explain to you with this Scrap Beast here. Next card is Scrap Chimera. You always want Scrap Chimera and Scrap Beast at 3. There is absolutely no going against that. If you're using scraps, you want them both at 3. Absolutely have to have them both at 3. Chimera's effect will special summon, or you can special summon a scrap tuner monster. And you have to normal summon Scrap Chimera for this effect. So, yeah, that's pretty chill. However, the thing with Scrap Chimera is when it is synchro summoned, both cards have to be scrap, and you have to synchro into a scrap monster. So, with that said, you basically have no choice but to sync for Scrap Dragon if you use Scrap Beast, which is your main combo for that, or if you are using Scrap Goblin as your material, you'll have to go for Scrap Archfiend. But Scrap Archfiend is a big beater, 2700, definitely nothing wrong with that. And Scrap Dragon, 2800, and you can destroy your own card to destroy a monster. So Scrap Dragon will not only yield you effects of your scrap monsters, but it will certainly let you combo off your effects and get a pop of your opponent's stuff. So Scrap Dragon in this deck, just way too good. Alright, so next, your little Scrap Goblin. Some players run it at 3, I run it at 2. Cannot be disturbed by battle. Unless, like, this card cannot be disturbed by battle, but you'll take damage if you do, because if it is attacked while face up, when it's selected as an attack target while it's face up, it will destroy it. So you basically let it sit for a turn, they attack it, they have to attack it again to kill it. And it will kill it at the end of the battle phase. And it is its own effect, so it will destroy itself using its own effect, and you'll be able to add back to your hand. So Scrap Goblin is just too good. And here we have Triple Golem. The Triple Golem is just because you can just loop synchro after synchro with Scrap Golem. You can just loop it like crazy. You can literally sync for anything with Scrap Golem. Scrap Golem, you can bring back Scrap Beast or Scrap Goblin and just go sync happy. You can literally just fucking go sync happy. Because if you use it with Beast, you can sync into your Scrap Twin Dragon OTK, destroy scrap monsters you control, well, select the card you control, destroy the one that you control, and then send 2 cards that your opponent controls back to their hand. So Scrap Twin Dragon is a big compulse, as well as the fact that it can destroy your scrap monsters and gain your effects. If you use Scrap Goblin, you can go for Scrap Dragon, you can go for Stardust. There's all kinds of stuff and solutions you can go for with this deck. So next is Scrap Orthros. So what this is going to do is if you control a face-up scrap monster, you can special summon this card. When it is special summoned this way, select one face-up scrap monster you control and destroy it. When Scrap Orthros is destroyed by a card effect, it allows you to add 1 scrap monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, except for Scrap Orthros. It also is a tuner, so if you have like a Scrap Golem on the field, you play Scrap Chimera, bring back Beast, special Orthros out of hand, you have 2 tuners, Just use Arthos' effect to pop itself off. Get another Scrap Chimera from the graveyard. Sync Beast with Chimera, go for Scrap Dragon. Golem's effect, bring back Beast. Sync for Scrap Twin. Next turn, go for another Scrap Dragon. Just this deck is too powerful. With its combos, it is very powerful. And Scrap Arthros is a level 14er, so you can pop off one of your other monsters for an effect and get their ads if you want your tuner still in the field. So there's multiple options that you can do with that. This deck basically can keep itself alive, and it's very recyclable, very recyclable. The extra deck is just crazy options that you can do. You mostly want scrap cards because they're scraps, you pretty much need them. So, for the tech, you have Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn, particularly just to get your scrap going back to the field, and go for that second turn. Go for that second turn. Scrap Twin Dragon, pop stuff to hand, yada 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 yada. Pot of Duality. At 1, because of the fact that you will need to try to get your scrap storms so you can get your combos off. So duality is just for that, only for that, or like to get one of your big trap cards. And I like using stun decks to have a lot of defense. So for me, I generally run a lot of trap lineup with my decks. So in triple Scrap Storm. Scrap Storm is the most important thing because you'll destroy when you're face-up scrap monsters, then draw a card for no freaking reason. Well, you'll send a scrap monster from your deck to the graveyard, then draw a card for no freaking reason, then destroy the monster that you selected. So that's what allows you to combo. So like if you have Beast, you'll play Scrap Storm, drop Chimera, draw, destroy Beast, add Chimera back to hand. So damn good. Or if you have Monster Reborn, you'll dump that Golem. You'll skip Beast's add effect, and you'll special that Scrap Golem via Monster Reborn to call the Haunted. So there's a lot of options. Then Scrapyard. Personally, I run Scrapyard at 3 to make sure that you try to get that Beast, that Scrap Beast in hand, because he's pretty important. He's going to be the floater that you use Scrap Storm for, just to get your Scrap Chimera is possible. So now for the back row lineup, double Bottomless. Bottomless is just too good on this format, just because of the fact that a lot of decks have a lot of play starters, and you need to get them off the field, like Fire Fist. If you're playing a Fire Fist matchup, you want a Bottomless. They're bears, so they don't break you. If you're playing against more mills, you want to banish their Megalo when it's summoned, so they don't like go Big Eye. Banish their Abystiuses. Definitely mainly that Megalo and that Abyss lead. So Bottomless will get you over those two. Call the Haunted here. Just bring back your golems. Golem effect. Simply, it's crazy. Double Compulse, because it's Compulse, it will get you over Zenmains, it will get you over Dragosoc, it will get you over Big Eye. Compulse is just way too good in this format, very underestimated. A lot of scrap decks use a lot of spell lineup to get search and safety, or safe power. I prefer to stun my opponent, make them try to counter with their traps to negate, stuff like that. and then I can just go off like crazy. One Mirror Force, one Solemn Judgment, one Solemn Warning, and Starlight Road. Starlight Road for when they try to Dark Hole your ass, because generally, whenever I seem to play Scrap Dragon, they seem to Dark Hole my ass. And I generally will have no monster sometimes. So Starlight Road or like is definitely too good. Like if they have Torrential, it's too good. It's just too good. The plus side though about Scrap Dragon is Mr. Destroyed. You can special summon a Scrap monster. So bring back Scrap Golem, just summon it again. Bring back Scrap Chimera, do it again. So good, just so fucking good. I can't stress that enough. That this deck is very good, and it could be considered meta. With how this works, it could be considered meta. All right, so for the hidden tech that nobody sees, Ancient Fairy Dragon. If I can go into it in a turn, Ancient Fairy Dragon just to get out another Golem, just to go back into the Synchro Loop again. So Ancient Fairy Dragon. Plus, it also gets rid of those field spells for Dark Roads, because Dark Roads seem to still be getting played out of the ass. Still, whenever I seem to be here on DN and I go into like Rated or something, I seem to still always find a freaking Dark Road player. Or a 6-hand player using their field spell, which is like, what the fuck. So Ancient Fairy Dragon, destroy a field spell, gain 1,000 life points. Then you can add one field spell from your deck to your hand. This deck doesn't have a field spell, so you won't be using that, but you will still be destroying a field spell with Ancient Fairy Dragon. That you can special summon to get you something. And it also is a 3,000 defense point monster, so you'll basically just let Ancient Fairy Dragon sit. It is bad though to use against Dragon Roars because they will probably just big eye it and make another fucking Dragasock with it. Fucking assholes. Black Rose, nuke the field. 2 Scrap Archfiend because you pretty much have to. Well, if you're using Scrap Goblin with Chimera, you have to go into Scrap Archfiend. There's no choice. Triple Scrap Dragon for popping off back row and monsters. Scrap Dragon is too good. Triple Scrap Twin Dragon just because with this build it's too easy to get it out. It is just too good. And 1 Stardust Dragon. Then for XYZs you have Maestro to get you over Maestro to get you over Evil Storm Ophion, because Ophion is a big problem card against his deck. So that's why I also have the Compulse fitted in to get over Ophion. Maestro to set it so it doesn't have an effect, so you can special summon and kill it like crazy. So that's why Maestro is in here. You have Mecha Phantom Beast Dragasock. For obviously you have Redox, and you can go into some level 7 Synchro monsters. So you can go Dragasock, Big Eye. If you're playing as Dragon Roars, go into your own Big Eye. Big Eye, they're fucking Big Eye. Big Eye, they're fucking Dragasock. Tribute Dragasock, blow up their shit. I don't know, just too good. This deck I could actually say is you could consider as a meta deck. You could actually consider this scrap deck as a meta deck because of the fact that you have some new tech added in. Really good tech. It makes sense, and it's very powerful and very easy to use. So that's why I named this deck Scrap for Noobs, and that's why the video is named Scrap for Noobs, is because of the fact that this deck is scrappy, and it's a deck for, this is basically a tutorial on how to use it.